أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This is study number 5 of the Ramadan Daily Quran Studies for the year 2022, presented by myself, Zahid Aziz, on behalf of the MD Anjuman Ishaat Islam Lahore, UK. And we are continuing with the topic of fasting. And in this last one here on this subject, I'll just be providing some further information about fasting in Islam during Ramadan. The commandments of the Holy Quran are meant for those who are full grown, and this applies to the command for fasting as well. Minors, in other words, those who are not adults, should not fast. Although in a hadith report, Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu is reported as saying, even our children are fasting, and this is in Bukhari. But that may have been to habituate a custom and habituate children to fasting, because only such people are under obligation to fast who are both physically fit and capable of understanding the purpose of fasting. Another point in connection with the fasting is what is known as niyyah or niyat of fasting, in other words, intention. And this word niyyah really means intention, aim, or purpose in doing something. But it is wrongly considered that the niyyah of fasting consists of repeating certain words, saying that I intend to fast. Now, in Bukhari, there is a chapter in Bukhari's book on fasting, and the heading of that chapter is, he who fasts during Ramadan, having faith, that is to say, having faith in God, and seeking God's pleasure, and having an intention, and having a niyyah. And under it, the words of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself are given, in which he says, people will be raised up, that is to say, on the day of judgment, people will be raised up according to their intentions, their niyyah. And what this means is that the person who fasts must have an aim or purpose before him. The aim or purpose of fasting, according to the Holy Quran, is to make the fast a spiritual discipline, which means attaining nearness to God and seeking His pleasure in all your actions. Make it a spiritual discipline, and to make it a moral discipline, which means to abstain from all kinds of wrongful deeds. And it is only in this sense that the niyat or intention of fasting is the important thing. And of course, niyyah or intention is also the essence of all good actions. If a good action is done with a bad aim, it doesn't benefit the doer of the action. Now, on Ramadan timetables and elsewhere as well, these words of niyyah to fast, intention to fast, are often printed, and these are supposed to be uttered when actually starting the fast every day. But this expression of intention by speaking out a set formula of words that is not anywhere in the Quran or in Hadith. Only in case of voluntary fasting outside Ramadan, there are instances in Hadith where someone made up his mind to fast actually in the day. That person hadn't eaten anything up to that time, and this was outside the month of Ramadan, and decided to make it into a fast by uttering this intention. But this question doesn't arise in the month of Ramadan, because when people get up to have their pre-fast meal, the intention is already there to fast. Then there's the question of what breaks the fast. What thing you do which would break the fast? And the three things which a person should abstain from during a fast are eating, drinking, and having sexual intercourse. If any of these three acts is done out of free will and intentionally during the fast, this breaks the fast. But if done by mistake, for example, by forgetfulness or under the wrong impression that the fast has ended, which could happen in the days before people had clocks and watches and went by how light it was outside. So there could be a wrong impression that it's not the fasting time. Then the fast remains. If something to break the fast is done unintentionally through forgetfulness or under the wrong impression that fast has ended, then as soon as that is realized that in fact you should be fasting, you simply complete the fast. The fast is valid. If a fast, for example, is broken on a cloudy day under the impression that the sun has set, and then the sun reappears, and you see that the fast hasn't ended, again, the fast should be completed till sunset. It is not invalidated by the fact that you ended it under a misconception. And of course, these days we have published times of when the fast ends. But something like that could still arise. For example, if you misread the timetable on that particular day, on one particular day, and thought the fast had ended at a certain time, but in fact it hadn't ended, and then you realize that afterwards, after ending your fast, you can still continue it till the actual ending time, and it's a valid fast. Now, rinsing the mouth with water or with a toothbrush or gargling or sniffing water into the nostrils, even if a little water passes into the throat unintentionally, that does not break the fast. And it does not break the fast if you take a bath or keep a wet cloth on the head or pour water on your head, even though you might do it intentionally to relieve the severity of the thirst, even if you do it intentionally, but it doesn't go inside your mouth. It doesn't break the fast. Also, if food is being cooked during fasting and it needs to be tasted on the tongue, then that is allowed, because tasting does not mean that the food is actually consumed, but you can tell that the taste is as you want it to be. Also, vomiting does not break the fast, because the fast is broken by what goes inside the body and not what comes out. The Holy Quran does not mention any punishment for someone who deliberately breaks the fast. And Hadith only shows that the violator should be sincerely repentant. And that's all. There's a well-known Hadith in Bukhari that as follows: fasting is a shield. So the one who fasts should not indulge in foul speech or do any evil deed. And if anyone fights with him or quarrels with him, has a row with him or abuses him, he should say, I'm fasting. And then the Holy Prophet goes on to say that I say in the name of Allah, who holds my soul in his hand, that the breath of the person fasting is more pleasant to Allah than the scent of musk. This again is in Bukhari. But what is it which makes the breath of the person fasting so sweet? It's not because he hasn't eaten anything or drunk anything. It is refraining from bad words and foul speech and abuse and evil deeds of all kinds. So much so that the person fasting does not even utter an offensive word by way of retaliation. He does not even retaliate. So the person who is fasting does not only undergo physical discipline by curbing his bodily desires, but he is actually required to undergo a moral discipline by avoiding all kinds of evil talk, evil speech, and evil deeds. So in the sight of Allah, the fast loses its value, not only if someone actually had food or drink, but it also loses its value if the person tells a lie, uses foul language, breaks his promises, acts unfaithfully, or does any kind of an evil deed. And in another well-known hadith, it is said that when the month of Ramadan commences, the doors of heaven are opened and the doors of hell are closed, and the devils are put into chains. Now, this also doesn't happen automatically. The devils are chained for the person who chains his lower desires, the very desires which the devil arouses in a person to make him fall into evil. So the devils are chained because the person chains himself. The doors of hell are closed on the person fasting because he closes the door on doing all evil deeds which lead to hell. And the doors of heaven are opened for him because he rises above his physical desires and devotes himself to the service of humanity. And thereby he opens the door. He opens the door to a new kind of life in this world. So this is how the doors of heaven are opened, the doors of hell are closed, and the devils are put into chains by the actions of the person fasting himself or herself. This then is the end of study 5. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم